Lesson 9, good. Alright, in this lesson we are going to cover the word good, but we're going to do that so we can practice these different endings that we covered in the last lesson. The way you have to change the end of good to, it's either the default Y, or it's an E, or it's an A, depending on the gender of the noun. We're also going to stop using jest. If you remember in one of the earlier lessons I said sometimes we use toy jest, sometimes we use toy, sometimes we just use jest. And I'm going to show you in this lesson where we stop using the word jest. So it's goodbye to jest. Not completely. What we do is if we're affirming something, we're not being negative, we're not saying this is not a pizza. If we're saying this is a pizza, then the default is just to use to. And you're going to find this in the Polish language. I'll go into it in a minute. But because the default is just it is, then there's no need for the is, because that's a default situation. The only reason you need to use jest is when you need to say it not is a pizza. Okay, when you're in the negative, or when you really want to express it, when someone's arguing and you want to say it is a pizza, then you want to express it strongly. But if you're just making that comment, it's a pizza, then we just say to pizza. Okay. Now I'm talking about this default because we're going to find it as we move through the Polish language. There are a lot of default situations. So, for example, you might hear people, when we cover the word for husband, but people will just say, well, that's good, but husband says no. And you're like, whose husband? Okay, so the default is my husband, therefore there's no need to say my. If there's anybody else's husband involved, her husband, your husband, okay, we need to say her husband, we need to say your husband. But if it's the default, there's no need to say my. And we're going to come across this again and again as we go forward, that we have these default situations, and this is the first one that we're covering. The default is that it is, so there's no need to say that it is. We just say simply, it pizza. And this in some ways makes the Polish language much faster as a method of communication compared to the English language. Right, good. Let's get that word.
Dobry. Dobry.
Okay, let's try our first phrase together by working it through using the thinking method. So let's try and say it's a good tradition. It's a good tradition.
There's a good tradition of love and hate.
Not now, Tanita. Okay, it's a good tradition. We could say this about something that a family does, something which happens in a country, all sorts of reasons why we might want to talk about traditions, because tradition can have negative connotations and positive ones as well. So if you see something going on, you can say, I think that's a good tradition. So it's a good tradition. Okay, but have we had tradition before? I don't think we have. So, but it's a shun word. There's a bit of luck. So we know that shun gets changed to sia. So, and we think about the pronunciation, trad, ad, not, that's A as in apple, tradi, E as in ski. So the Polish and the English are actually fully aligned at the start of that word. So we've got tradition. Now we know that this is something that's confirming something. We don't need the jest anymore. Goodbye jest. So we just need to say to. Right, and now we've got our new word. In the dictionary, the one I showed you at the start of this lesson, it ends in Y. That is the default. But we have to look here at the noun and see that it ends in A. So if it ends in A, then like kobieta, it's feminine. So we need to end dobra in A as well. Okay, to get our it's a good tradition.
To dobra tradycja. To dobra tradycja.
Right, let's practice some other ones. Again, remember, it might be a good idea if this is your first time going through this lesson, that you stop the lesson, pause the lesson every now and again to do your own working out, and then run the lesson again to make sure that you've got it right. It's slower now, but the thinking out, as I've said a million times, the thinking out will make it faster in the long run and deeper in your memory. So let's roll with it's good pizza. It's good pizza. And remember, we don't need jest.
To dobra pizza. To dobra pizza.
How about it's good wine? It's good wine.
To dobre wino. To dobre wino.
It's good food. It's good food.
To dobre jedzenie. To dobre jedzenie.
It's a good supermarket. It's a good supermarket.
To dobry supermarket. To dobry supermarket.
Okay, now I'm just throwing on the screen there a bunch of new vocabulary, and I think numbers 1 and 2 you're going to get very easily. Number 3, museum there. Again, think about how we say museum in English. And we do say it with a Z. We put an S in there, but we actually pronounce it with a Z. So you think about the Polish being the more sensible spelling, because it matches what we actually say. So museum, exactly as what we say it. The U, like in uniwersalne, so we will use a bit more of an U sound in there at the start. And remember, obviously, we're pressing down on the penultimate syllable, so it's more the museum. Okay. Now, kava. This one's a little bit more tricky. It means coffee. The way I remember this is I think coffee, beans, Java beans, coffee, Java, kava. Right, that's my mental hook for coffee. If you already live in Poland, then like in most other countries in Europe, they have coffee shops and cafes every second, what did I say? Every second shop is a coffee shop or a cafe, and they'll all be advertising their coffee. So you will see the word for coffee everywhere, and they won't allow you to forget it. Alright, let's try using those new words along with good to practice those noun genders. So if we want to say it's a good bank.
To dobry bank. To dobry bank.
It's a good bistro. It's a good bistro. Sorry, yes, it's a good bistro. Yes, it's a good bistro.
Tak, to dobre bistro. Tak, to dobre bistro.
No, it's not good coffee. No, it's not good coffee. And remember now, we must use yes again, because if we're not affirming, we're in the negative. So no, it's not good coffee.
Nie, to nie jest dobra kawa. Nie, to nie jest dobra kawa.
No, it's not a good museum. No, it's not a good museum.
Nie, to nie jest dobre muzeum. Nie, to nie jest dobre muzeum.
Oh, well, that's strange. Dobre has ended in an E, but museum ends in an M. So it's not O and it's not E, but the dobre is ending in an E. Well, again, this is one of those exceptions. There are rules, there are exceptions, and this is one of those exceptions. For some odd reason, museum is neuter. Alright, so that's good. We've got our 3 forms of good. The one we'll find in the dictionary, which ends with Y, the feminine and the neuter, which hopefully we're kind of getting our heads around. We've got this A ending or E ending for the neuter. So now I would just try practicing out your own sentences. For example, you could try thinking out how to say it's a good option, it's a good situation, it's a good product. Try something you haven't come across before unless you thought it up in your own mind. It's a good configuration. And just experiment, practice spotting those endings. A ending. So, you know, it's feminine like kobieta. I must change the end of good to an A. Or, that's product, that's a T ending. So it's not A, E or O, so that must be masculine. So we're sticking with the dictionary definition of how to say good. And as I constantly say, thinking out these translations, working them out on pieces of paper, make them sink into your memory and give you much more vocabulary straight away.